Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So if you guys are new here, then hi, this is The Storyteller. Here we review different stories in the form of doodling, and if this is something that excites you, then do not forget to hit the subscribe button down below. If you have suggestions for movies that you'd like to be reviewed in this format, do not forget to comment down. I do reviews of that every Tuesday, and since today is Saturday, we're going to be reviewing a new movie which is Kasada Thapara, streaming on Sonyliv. This is a hyperlink movie directed by Chimbudeven and having a beautiful star cast of Harish Kalyan, Venkat Prabhu and many other prestigious actors in the lead roles. We're gonna start off with the normal review of the movie, and then I'll be explaining the movie in detail and how it's interlinked and how the different concepts are applicable. It's at this timestamp, so you can jump into it right over here. Okay, so jumping into the concept and themes. At the start of the movie itself, we explain two major concepts of this movie. One being the vantage point theory, which pretty much means that even if you're looking at something from one particular perspective, it is for sure that there are multiple perspectives to it. Like for example, if I'm drawing a 6 over here, it can also be perceived as a 9 to somebody else. So you see, there are different perceptions and it's not exactly what you always see. The second concept that's heavily talked about over here is the butterfly effect, which again just talks about a ripple effect of every action that you have. More like a domino effect, like one thing leads to another and the process is ever going on. You see? So this entire movie is a combination of the vantage point theory and the butterfly effect. So we have 6 different stories, all of which are interconnected. Yes, so there are some characters, some particular objects that are continued in every other story. The common theme is of course crime, compassion, greed, power, and of course love. We can see these themes and characters being repeated across the movie. Now, I'm going to be talking about the cast and the crew in one paper. Even though this movie has great actors in them, certain performances really stood out for me. One such would be Vijay Lakshmi's role as Sundari, the young mother who takes care of her child. She was absolutely brilliant. The second in line for me was Harish Kalyan. I think there was so much effortless acting from his side that got me invested in his role. And not to mention Venkat Prabhu's performance, especially in his last segment. Too good. I mean, that being said, everyone has done a great job, but these 3 stood out for me. I think this movie also had great crew on board. I mean, it was different for every small movie. I really loved the cinematography, but I felt like the editing was not up to perfection in most scenes. It did feel a little too much. I mean, the music did cover up for it, but I just felt like there was something missing. I'm not particularly sure what it was. It could also be the scripting, but even though the visuals were great and the coloring was great, like something was less. Another aspect of this was the ratio. Some movies had a different ratio in which it was shown, and I think that was quite creative. But overall, it is a great effort. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the explanation of the movie and how it's all interrelated. Guys, there are spoilers ahead, so if you've not watched the movie, do watch it and come back to this segment. So, jumping into it. Let's talk about how all these 6 stories are interconnected. The first one is the love story, where at the end of it, the guy runs away leaving her a note. But it's only in the second story we realize that there was an underworld dada who was actually responsible for him being missing because the girl's dad used to work for him. Now, progressing in the second story, we realize how the dada stops his dadagiri for his son but ends up getting killed for the same reason. And we only realize in the third story how a cop was given the order to kill the dada. And this is his story and how his family finds it very difficult for the fact that he is killing now. The cop and his sister are somehow involved in Harish's life, which is the fourth story of a young man who wants to make it big and make a lot of money, which he does, and of course that gains him a lot of enemies, and one of them poisons his juice, which in the 5th story is offered to Vijay Lakshmi's son and other 30 kids out of love, but thereby infects all of them. She is given the medicine in time, but an innocent man who works for the pharmaceutical is sent behind the bars because of this action. This, my friends, is how Chimbudeven uses the butterfly effect in this movie, where one action is the reason for the next person's story. Coming to how he used the vantage theory, the theory that states that there are different perspectives to the same incident. There's so many elements in the movie that states that. One being the envelope. That becomes a reason for a love story at the start of the movie, and that same envelope becomes the reason of freedom for another person at the end of the movie. You see, the second incident is of how the dada, when he says he quits, he's doing it for the good reason for his son. But if he had not quit, the cop in the third story would not have had an encounter and there wouldn't have been any problems between him and his wife. Another example of Vantage is when Harish tries to share the juice. I mean, it's an act of love. It looked like a 6 to him, but it ended up poisoning more than 30 kids, which became a 9. Not to mention Vijay Lakshmi, she testifies in the court so that she can save her own son. But because she testifies, an innocent man goes to jail. You see, and there are so many more examples of this in the movie. The bottom line is this, and I'm pretty happy that a movie like this actually showed this side. Your good deed might not always be a good cause. It might not always have a positive impact. And these are stories of normal, everyday people. And trust me, this is a movie that gets you to thinking about your actions. It makes you introspect on your actions and its effect. This is definitely a movie where a lot of thought has been put into writing, and kudos to that. Okay, now my conclusion about this movie. I feel a lot of thought has been put into this movie. I love the idea, the concept, and a huge round of applause to Chimbudeven for even coming up with this. Sorry guys, my video is a little out of focus here, but what I'm trying to say is that I'm not really sure how much this works for me as a movie on the whole. No doubt this is a great attempt, but somewhere I wasn't really convinced. What I really like is that this is neither an anthology nor a full feature drama film. It's a hyperlinked movie, which is amazing. It's just that I also felt that I couldn't connect to any one particular character in any one story because the time I get to see them on screen is very less, but that's what happens when you have 6 short movies, you know. So if you guys have the time, definitely do give it a watch, and personally I would give this 3 stars out of 5. I mean, do give it a watch. Everyone has different tastes. Maybe you might like it, and you never know. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this movie. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any suggestions, and do let me know in the comment box down. I will review it every Tuesday, so feel free to comment your favorite movie. On that note, I will see you guys on Tuesday with a suggested movie review, and till then, thank you so much once again. With lots of love, it's your storyteller. Bye.